Hello, we're Group 5 and we will be discussing why we should be against animal testing for human health items, drugs, and cosmetics. I am Ashley Vu and presenting with me are Lydia Marilyn Trejo and Jocelyn Quesada. I'm Ashley and I will start by defining what animal testing is. Animal testing refers to procedures performed on living animals for purposes of research into basic biology and diseases, assessing the effectiveness of medicinal products, and testing the human health and/or environmental safety of consumer and industry products such as cosmetics, household cleaners, food additives, pharmaceuticals, and industrial/agrochemicals. 95% of laboratory animals are rodents: rats, mice, hamsters, and guinea pigs. However, fish, cats, dogs, non-human primates such as monkeys or chimpanzees, farm animals, and pigs are common as well. Animal testing has helped with significant breakthroughs such as insulin, anesthesia, penicillin, hip prosthetics, antidepressants, asthma inhalers, and using stem cells to repair heart tissue. Early records of vivisections on animals date as far back as 500 BC in ancient Greece. Vivisections, which is the dissection of a living organism, were performed on animal subjects. Many well-known historical figures believed that vivisections of animals were justified and educational, such as Herophilus, Erasistratus, René Descartes, and Aristotle. The latter believed that the animals' lack of intelligence meant justice was not applicable to them, although his successor Theophrastus disagreed and believed that animals could feel as much pain as humans. Theophrastus saw vivisections of animals as an offensive act against the gods. Descartes, a French philosopher, experimented on live animals as well, believing them to be what he called automata, meaning animals could not experience pain or suffer like humans. He still believed, however, that animals could feel, just that they could not think, and thus could not consciously experience those feelings. Other notable figures were Roman physician and philosopher Galen, who engaged in the public dissection of animals to develop theories on human anatomy, physiology, pathology, and pharmacology. But he had also done these dissections in public for entertainment. There were generally no objections to vivisections until the 19th century, when domestic pets became popular and led to the anti-vivisection movement in England. Among those who opposed animal testing was Queen Victoria, who did an anti-vivisection campaign. This movement established Great Britain's Cruelty to Animals Act of 1876. This act set limits on the practice of animal experimentation and made it necessary to obtain a license to do so. In 1938, the U.S. Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act was signed into law. This act allowed cosmetic companies to test products on animals. For a long time after, procedures used in animal testing were harmful but persisted, including the Draize irritancy test, in which animals' eyes and skins were exposed to chemicals. Henry Spira, an animal rights activist, launched a campaign against Revlon to stop using the Draize test in 1980. He was successful in doing so. Besides cosmetics testing, animals were also used by the U.S. military for research on trauma training and sent into space where many died. Eventually, the Animal Welfare Act, AWA, was passed in 1966 and requires that each research facility develop a committee of at least 3 members to regulate the experiments involving animals. Peter Singer then published Animal Liberation in 1975, popularizing the term speciesism and related speciesism to racism, sexism, and other forms of prejudice. Since then, organizations for animal rights, welfare, or liberation have been established. Notable organizations such as People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, formed in 1980, and the Coalition for Consumer Information on Cosmetics, formed in 1996, and were the creators of the cruelty-free Leaping Bunny symbol. And now, Lydia.
Hi everyone, my name is Lydia Trejo and I will be discussing animal testing facts and statistics. Over 1 million animals suffer or are killed in the United States due to animal testing. Many mice, rats, frogs, dogs, cats, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, monkeys, fish, and birds are used for testing, experimentation, chemical drug, food, and cosmetic testing. According to People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, animals used for experimentation and used in laboratories drill holes into their skulls, burn off their skin, and have their spinal cord crushed just for the sake of testing. To name a few, these are some of the torments that animals go through when they undergo experimentation. 99% of animals used in laboratories yet are excluded by the Federal Animal Welfare Act and therefore denied even the most basic consideration. These animals are deprived of everything that is natural to them. They are treated inhumanely and are socially isolated, which results in psychological trauma. Every year in the United States, the National Institute of Health blows about 47% of research funding on animals experimentation. In this 2016 chart shows the amount of animals used and killed for research, testing, and biological teaching. As you can see, it includes animals like cattle, sheep, reptiles, and even marine mammals.
Hello, my name is Jocelyn Quesada, and I'll be discussing the cultural and sociological importance of animal testing. Now, as we take a look at this research behind the cultural importance of animal testing, it has been identified that there is a major difference of point of view between males and females, where males tend to support the use of animal testing and females oppose the use of animal testing for any reason that there might be. A majority group that were led by women voters state that they would feel safer with a product that was not tested on animals, but much rather used a different method of testing to make that product safe for them to use. Nearly half of adults do not approve of the fact that animals are being burned, poisoned, and hacked apart in laboratories. The Pew Research Center poll found that 52% of U.S. adults oppose the use of animals in scientific research. Now, as we take a look at the sociological importance of animal testing, many disagree with the general idea of this method. An average of 50% of Americans would prefer to use products such as cosmetics or cleaners or anything that has to do with such as items that we use on a daily basis. They would prefer that they have not been animal tested, but much rather have been used and much rather have been tested in other ways. They do not feel that these tests make these products any safer for them to utilize them. As animal testing has evolved, it can also affect the human race. A successful clinical trial does not mean it will 100% work when then tested on a human. The human body is incredibly complex, and we cannot 100% of the time confirm that animal testing is accurate enough to be worth the damage scientists are causing to these poor animals. These tests can also cause mental and psychological abuse for the animal. It is also caused due to the many drugs and narcotics that are injected into these animals. They will eventually suffer from lifelong anxiety, trauma, and distress.
Currently, more than 40 countries have banned cosmetic animal testing products. However, the United States is not one of them. Only 3 U.S. states have banned cosmetic animal testing products: California, Nevada, and Illinois. A few countries would be willing to ban cosmetic animal testing if there are non-animal, government-approved alternatives that exist. These countries are Turkey, South Korea, and Russia. China, long known for their history and persistence of animal testing, removed their mandatory rule of animal testing for ordinary cosmetics in June 2014. These so-called ordinary cosmetics included shampoo or mascara. In January 2021, China put in place new regulations to import ordinary cosmetics without animal testing. This is a breakthrough for China, especially since they have also been known to supply over 60% of monkeys to research in the US. Despite the progress, there's still more work to be done. In 2014, the Humane Cosmetics Act, which would prohibit animal testing in cosmetics and prohibit the sale of such products, was introduced in the US. Unfortunately, it did not pass. It was reintroduced again in 2015, 2017, and 2019. However, all attempts have not passed. Animal rights groups such as the Humane Society of the United States, HSUS, are working to reintroduce the legislation and get it passed. Along with HSUS fighting for animal rights or liberation are PETA, the Coalition for Consumer Information on Cosmetics, Animal Aid Unlimited, and more. The work is not over yet. And now to Lydia.
Why should we stop animal testing? First and foremost, animals are forced, abused, and held captive in laboratories for experimentation use. It is also known that it is a waste of time and is unreliable to humans. The majority of animal experiments do not contribute to improving human health, and the value of the role that animal experimentation plays in most medical advances is questionable. 65,000 dogs are tormented in the US laboratories every year. Animal experiments prolong the suffering of humans, waiting for the effective cures because the results mislead experimenters and waste time and money. Now I will be discussing the non-ethical aspects involving animal use. Other than the fact of many animals suffering and dying in the process of testing and experimentation, there are over 1 million animals that are caged, restrained, poisoned, shot, burned, and left to die. There's been proof of unreliable results, such as diseases that are artificially induced in animals in a laboratory, whether they be mice or monkeys, are never identical to those that occur naturally in human beings. National Institute of Health reports that 95 out of 100 drugs that pass animal tests fail in humans. Therefore, it is a better option for the use of other alternatives that do not involve animals. According to the Humane Society of the United States, more than 50 different alternative methods and testing strategies have been developed, validated, and or accepted by the international regulatory authorities. Some of the alternatives are using blood from human volunteers, using EPSkin, Epiderm, which are composed of artificial human skin and can save thousands of rabbits' lives each year. And lastly, 3T3, which are several cell lines of mouse embryonic fibroblast that replaces mice and other animals for the testing methods of medicine and other products.
Our formed opinion on animal testing concludes that as we furthered our research into the many aspects when it comes to animal testing, we have come to see that many, if not thousands, of animals die on end due to many harsh chemicals that they are injected with. Using these poor animals for scientific research is very inhumane and very cruel. These animals may not have the ability to express their emotions, but they have the same ability to experience pain and discomfort. Despite the new regulations to protect these poor innocent creatures in these laboratories, it does still seem very unethical, and we do not in any way support the use of animals for scientific research. These are our works cited.